Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining today's webinar. This is Channel Vision editor Gerald Baldino here. I'll be your moderator for today's event. Today, we're very excited to have with us P2 and EnergyWare for a presentation on LED lighting opportunities. Joining us is P2's Bill Patchett, EnergyWare's Michael Bertamini, and EnergyWare's Kim Krieger. If you have any questions during the presentation, please submit them through the Q&A portal located at the bottom of the Zoom platform. At this point, I'd like to turn the webinar over to Bill to begin. Bill?
Thank you, Gerald. First off, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for taking the time to join our webinar today. With all that's going on in our country, we understand you might have more important things to do, and I personally appreciate you taking the time to spend with us. As Gerald mentioned, in today's short webinar, we'll focus on our partner in LED services, EnergyWare. EnergyWare and P2 have been partnering now for almost 3 years. We've had some tremendous big customer wins and big commission wins for our partners as well in a variety of different areas. And today, I think for certain you'll find a few of your clients will need some of these services as well. So with that being said, running today's call, my friend and CEO of EnergyWare, Michael Bertamini, will take you through his deck and share with you the benefits of EnergyWare. Michael, the floor is yours.
Hey, thanks, Bill. Well, I asked Patchett if we could do a theme song, and I've been turned down. So you guys are going to go on your own with a theme song. We had some good choices out there too that I think you guys probably would have enjoyed, but we'll keep it G-rated today. I'm going to go over who we are. I know it's a crazy world out there right now, guys. We'll talk a little bit about that, where our product fits into. But to start, I want to get into who we are a little bit. So basically, EnergyWare has been in business now for 5 years, and we're the guys that eliminate age lighting. Anything that has inappropriate operating or inappropriate or inefficient lighting or operating hours, we take care of. And I think we're stuck here. There we go. Now we're moving. What industries are really focused on? Now, obviously, we did this before the COVID-19 thing, but I will tell you that we have active projects right now in warehousing, manufacturing, schools, universities, multifamily dwelling units, and I could go on and on. What we are seeing in the marketplace is that there's still going to be a very healthy drive for folks that want to eliminate operating expenses. Basically, guys, we're not going to stop using electricity. Whether clients like that or not, you can't get around the electricity bill. And we have to make that energy bill now more than ever more efficient. People are going to need financial stability and ways to drop their operating expenses. We have put a lot of focus then as a result of that in school systems, aviation, airports in particular. We're putting a lot in the medical community, and we're seeing still pretty significant growth in the multifamily dwelling. These people that are staying home now are increasing the electricity bills in these rental properties or in these properties that they own, and they're looking for additional safety that they didn't care for before and cost reduction. So those are industries or verticals that we're spending a lot of time on right now, particularly with the transition. They are looking for a combination of things. I would say that savings is the greatest of the three right now. They certainly are looking for compliance. That's been a big one for years for us. But the savings are the big one. And basically what our company is doing now is we're guaranteeing them a savings. In other words, if your monthly reduction for lighting is $5,000 a month, we're going to get you a monthly rental payment for $4,000 a month. So you can net something day one, $1,000 a month in my scenario. So not only are you netting something on the savings side with nothing out of pocket, it's a rental, not a financing agreement, which makes it very healthy for these organizations if they're going to need temporary debt to get through these tough times. And in addition, it allows you to update the aesthetics so when they come back to work, they won't be interrupted again. It also, quite frankly, guys, and I hate to say this, the maintenance staffs that were out there once upon a time, I think we're seeing the unemployment rates, they may be a victim of this. So companies are going to be looking ways to reduce or eliminate maintenance in these times, and this is a good way to do it. The product's going to last for 10 plus years. You can see these before and after photos. You can also see current wins, recent wins that we've had, Duke University and so forth. Basically, guys, what you're looking at here is age lighting that was 70% more in cost than new lighting. And if it's the storage facility that's looking for additional security, the warehouse looking to provide, manufacturing in this case looking to provide additional lighting, or the operating room so they could just simply see you better, these things do work in our favor. What a prospect looks like. I'll use Ventas as an example. We got a call today that they want to extend our relationship. Sean Harold's the guy who oversees that particular account. And what they're looking for is exactly what we talked about. They need to reduce cost. So they're assisted living. These assisted living members would get out of the house. They're not doing that anymore. So number one, when your lights are on from 5 hours a day to now 12 plus hours a day, their electricity bills are doubling. They have to do something to tackle that. The budget's really irrelevant because by the electricity bill going up and double, they created a budget. They'll get a monthly payment for us. They'll reduce that that bill that went up. That'll be more in line with their current operating budget. And they're going to do it, as we mentioned, at no cost up front. We do know the decision maker very well. We've done numerous properties with them. And we have a timeline of events. They want to be installed. The challenge that these folks are having is that it is assisted living. How do we get in there? How do we install? So fortunately, we have a nice COVID-19 statement on how we operate on these facilities, get into these facilities, and what precautions we're taking as an organization. And not to tout our strength, but one of the real advantages, because of our size, we're allowing employees who have a cough not to work. Total isolation. We're following the CDC very, very closely. So you're going to see you're going to see a unique client set here that wants to still move forward. There is a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt in the marketplace. I think there is certain verticals that are experiencing unfortunate layoffs, but regardless of that, the electricity bill is not going to go away. We can attack it. These smart lighting opportunities were becoming much more prevalent. We'll see if they stay as prevalent with the current economic conditions. This is more of a value sell than a price sell, which is okay. The value around this is really this with the LED smart lighting. I'll give you a simple example. We just installed a school system. It has autistic children. The children were having a hard time learning at certain times of day when the sun became stronger with the light color. So we've installed a smart lighting system where they can change the color of the Kelvin so the students are less impacted. We also have seen things like daylight harvesting, where the light comes in, the light automatically dims down for comfortability, and it automatically dims down to reduce electrical usage. We've had more sophisticated systems that we're doing. As an example, in Chicago area, we're going to be installing a municipality. That municipality wants the sensor in the light to ping the ground to see how many feet of snow are on the ground, so that they can send their trucks to the appropriate places first, the highest snow areas first, to get those roads cleared up. We're also going to be doing things, as an example, like if a light goes out, that they get automatically notified of that light going out. So these are going to be smart systems. We're going to be continuing to do more of these systems. We're noticing that in examples in certain cities where they're worried about crime, we're going to put gun detection in the light. And that will also then go back to a centralized monitoring system for the police, so they can be more real time with crime. Pretty neat stuff. The shift for LED lighting has been pretty dramatic. I told people 5 years ago when I bought this asset, we had 4 years to do it. The demand has been incredible, and we're only 15% penetrated at this point. So there is still a real market demand to do this. LED lighting is going to grow faster in terms of technology in the cloud on a CAGR basis, on a compounding annual growth rate basis. And while the cloud's awesome, I used to own a cloud company. The cloud right now is a big way for folks to work remote. The LED lighting is a big way for maintenance folks to get a project under their belt, reduce the operating expense, kind of protect themselves. We have big commission checks going out. We wrote one in February for $305,000. We're pretty proud of that. We're really good payers, and we're very financially solvent to pay these compensation plans. We've probably done a job in your market. We are coast to coast. These green dots, they indicate installs that are 100,000 square feet or larger. So obviously we are headquartered in Florida. That's where we started. Then we expanded up and down the East Coast. You can see the growth there. Eventually we moved to the central region. You can see the growth there. And we've been in LA for 2 years now. So we've started to make some really significant impacts there. As we open markets, we see customers pretty much immediately. I think one of the things the partner community happens to like about us is we're in addition to, not replacement of, not looking to take current commissions off the table that you have. And the partner community that we've worked with has really been outstanding because they know people are eventually going to move to LED lighting. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when, and we're uniquely have a unique value proposition to do that. Part of our unique value proposition is we do have general contracting licenses. We have C10 licenses or electrical licenses. We're Aveto approved. We're ISN approved. What does all this mean? What it all means is it's kind of like this. When you call a Cisco CCI to the table, he brings or she brings a certain level of credibility. It's a very unique certification and a very unique group. We too, in the construction world, particularly for electrical and lighting, have very unique certifications and very unique licenses. And what this allows us to do is really be an expert in the field. We operate in 32 states today. We'll continue to grow that out to other states this year. So when customers come to us, what would happen in a traditional install is Betty, the decision maker, has 5 locations. And unlike telecom, where you can get ubiquity, you can't do that in this field. The electricians need to be certified in that state. So Betty would go get 5 electricians. She would get potentially 5 different auditors to perform the audits. Betty would potentially get 5 different folks to purchase the equipment. We eliminate all that. We have our own energy consultants in-house. We have our own manufacturing that we only use best in breed manufacturing. We have our own electricians for consistency of install. In other words, if you have a cheeseburger at McDonald's in Tampa Bay, Florida, and you had a cheeseburger in Los Angeles, California, it tastes the same. Same concept here. Same cheeseburger or same electrical team, same consistency of install, same consistency of safety. And then our fourth component, which is a big one, is we have architects, lighting architects on staff. We're going to design this thing. So the client's going to get a 3D visual, much like your topology maps and the technology. Topologies are conceptual. This is reality. So this will be actuals that you'll get to see. And it's very neat how you can, particularly for exterior lighting, see the difference from a safety perspective. And regardless of how you feel about the current financials, gas stations still want you to be safe. They can charge you a couple cents more a gallon if they're well lit versus the one across the street that's poorly lit. We also have customer portals. This is Duke's particular portal. And what the portal does, which is pretty cool, is it tells you the staff members are going to be on site. So if one of the professors wants to know if this is really an EnergyWare employee, they can simply go to the portal. They'll see the person's picture, and it'll let them know specifically what that person's role is. They also will have badges on site, EnergyWare shirts on site. In other words, we have the portals, the polish, the design to help you guys close really a variety of deals. I think what you're noticing here, though, is we do have a tendency to sell bigger deals faster. But the smaller deals are wonderful too. Look, we just want to help you generate additional income. We want to help your clients, and we want to continue to move forward as the premier provider. One unique thing as we get into here is we only sell through the channel. So unlike our predecessors or my competitors out there, they will sell by any means necessary. Direct, they'll go through performance contractors, they'll use electricians. They basically will compete. I met one particular competitor who was new to the telecom channel, and they've already been eliminated because they didn't pay commissions appropriately. And they were willing, whatever the deal was, they were willing to let it be registered with 4 or 5 people and compete on that deal. We're not going to do that. We are 100% channel. We will always stay 100% channel. And as a result of that, you don't have to worry about competition from us internally. We've had a lot of growth. We've talked about the certifications. We've paid a lot of commissions. We're very excited about our partner community. We do have large average comp checks. These are checks that you typically see within 6 to 8 weeks. Bill Patchett's been one of my earliest adopters and earliest partners, and he's a really good friend. I think he could tell you we try to pay quick, and we try to make sure that we maximize your compensation on every opportunity. What about lighting as a service? Let me talk through this. This one's pretty straightforward. It is a rental. It's not a financing agreement. It's not a PACE loan. It is a rental. They will be renting the lights. The way it works is the bank will provide them the funds up front for EnergyWare. They will then rent the equipment on a monthly basis. That savings will offset the rental payment, but it is not a capital purchase. It is not a capital lease. It is not an operating lease. Here's why people like operating leases. In the old world, they could keep it off the books. In other words, if they wanted to go get a loan for a building, they could do it. The bank wouldn't view that as a debt. Reason people hated that is really copier sales. At the end of 5 years, the value of the asset was still basically 50% of the original price. You're going to pay for it time and a half plus interest. People hated that. Capital leases are wonderful because at the end you get it for $1. The reason people hate capital leases is because that is considered a debt. And that goes against your debt to asset ratio. And if you try to purchase something additional in the future, the bank may frown on that. This is a combination of the two. It's a rental. A rental will have a $100 buyout at the end. The way that we get around the rule of law is that I will actually own the lights. At the end, the bank will sell them to me for the $100, and then I will turn around and sell those to the client for $100. So that is our way around that. It gives you the benefit of the capital lease with the old advantages of the operating lease without having something financially structured on your books. You're basically renting this just like you rent the cloud. Very similar structure. Agents should know about us. We do everything in-house. We've talked about it. We operate in a lot of states. Clients are very happy with us. It's funny. We're closing a school next week. Kim Krieger, who's on this call, is closing it. And they asked for 3 references. We didn't even have a chance because of everything going on to call them in advance. Sent them emails. They said they'd be thrilled to do it, even with everything going on. We're obviously very proud of the work that we do, and we're very proud of our team members. And that's it. We'll open it up to questions. I tried to keep it to 15 minutes. I think I did that. And now we'll open it up to any questions you folks have.
All right. Thank you very much. That was fantastic. Reminder, if you got questions, just submit them through the Q&A box at the bottom. Kick things off here, I guess my question would be, how do you identify a good LED opportunity? What are some criteria that you look for typically?
Yeah, anything over 100,000 square feet, multi-locations, or 12 hours or more a day. Those are typically good prospects. Right now, focusing on schools, hospital systems, things like that, people that are operational, those are all great prospects.
Mm-hmm. One thing that you mentioned during the presentation was smart lighting solutions for schools, which I found interesting. I remember when I was a student, I always had a problem with the traditional fluorescent lighting. Wondering if you could expand on the benefits that that you're seeing for students over traditional lighting options?
Yeah, I don't want to get too much into the studies, guys, because, one study may contradict another, but all studies agree there's flickering in a fluorescent light. You can see it, some can see it, some can't. LED is a consistency of light, so it does help with the learning environment. It helps with circadian rhythm. There are proven studies with that. I think at the school system, though, it does provide a nice aesthetic improvement, and it reduces the expense. In other words, if I'm the school system, the light's going to last 20 years. I pay it off with a rental agreement in 5 years. I get 15 years of free operating cash off those savings. It's a nice way to do that. With the smart lighting in the schools, with the, anyone with a potential special need, it allows them to adjust to their need. Not all students learn the same, and not all students behave the same under a light. So this allows them to adjust to that.
Okay, great. Question here, what is the timeline, the average timeline for a project?
Depends on the size of the project, but most, like Duke's taken us 6 months, but most jobs are completed within 3 weeks on average, and that's a pretty sizable job. And then from there, commissions are typically paid within 2 weeks of that. So from contract signature to job completion is typically 5 weeks, to you getting paid is typically within 7.
Another person just asked, what about warehouses? Do you work with warehouses, and if so, I guess how large would you go?
Pretty large. We've done some of the biggest in the country, multiple millions of square feet. So we've done some pretty large ones. What's great about warehouses, which we particularly care for, they all have maintenance issues, and getting up and down to get the ballast replaced or the bulbs replaced is a nightmare for these guys. And typically they have OSHA requirements or IES requirements for a certain amount of light on the ground. I don't know the percentage, but a large percentage of warehouses, they don't meet those requirements. So this is a great opportunity for them to meet the foot candle requirements for safety inside the building. And warehouses, typically 60% of their electricity bill is directly related to lighting. So you're tackling the largest part of their bill.
Okay. One question for another one here. You had mentioned something that I found interesting, which was gunshot detection technology. How does that work exactly? And you mentioned integrating that with these solutions.
Yeah, we might have to go to a live demonstration on this one. I think it'd be fun. But basically, guys, what happens is if there's a loud bang, which is a gunshot detection, there's a sensor inside the fixture, and it goes back to a centralized portal, a centralized command center. And what that does is sometimes we'll even put a video camera inside the light. You can actually see through the central command center now, when it goes bang, the video camera will pop up as the priority, and people will see exactly what's happening there. It's pretty neat stuff. The other stuff that's more practical that we've seen a lot more is people they want to troubleshoot. So if I live in a community with 1,500 lights, how do I manage that outside of my neighbor calling and saying, "Hey, my light's out. My light's out." Think about what that movie scene in Creed when Rocky calls in and says, "Hey, I've been calling for 5 years." Same concept here. It sends a system detection, and actually they can try to auto correct the issue through this centralized command center. Pretty neat stuff.
Great for areas with a lot of crime, and
anybody that has a lot of lights, this is a great application.
Mm-hmm.
You'll keep the questions going. You want me to look at them?
Yeah, certainly. We're kind of just going through the queue here, and someone just asked for some insight on the kinds of lights that you're selling. I guess whether they're proprietary or.
Yeah, I see. There's a survey quote. I got some here. Some of it is proprietary, but 90% of what we sell is the big guys. Cree, Lithonia, so forth. Think Cisco, Palo Alto, the big guys. So we tend to stick with what they call tier 1 providers. The proprietary portion is really in the software, but the physical asset is with the big folks. The part about survey quoting proposal, here's what happens. What we do is we do an initial call with the client. We ask for you to help set that up, and we're going to ask them some questions around goals and so forth. Once we get those goals accomplished, we're going to go on site with an energy consultant or a lighting architect. They're going to be taking measurements. They're going to be counting fixtures. And typically this is pretty extensive because we're going to build a 3D design or a 3D proposal around what it's going to look like. From there, we outline an ROI, and the ROI will determine what the savings are and what the average return will be. We try to target for school systems 6 years or less. They're very happy with that. And for the private sector, we try to target 3 years or less. The question about who your biggest competitor is, we see the big guys, Johnson Controls, Tran. Here's what happens with those guys. They have a big brand name, so companies sometimes like that. The challenge is they then outsource all the work. So clients are starting to get hip to that, and they're starting to maneuver to folks like us because we're big enough not to go out of business, but not so big that we put a 30% markup on the work because we do the work ourselves. We do run into these guys from time to time, but in general, we don't see them as large a competitor as we did once upon a time. I think we answered the question about lights for selling, the proprietary question. We do use Cree. As a matter of fact, I just did a big Cree install. It's pretty specific question, but we spend a lot of time on the, we don't spend a lot of time with Cree, but they are one of the manufacturers we use. What are the typical qualifying questions? How do we engage our energy rep? Have you ever had a consultation, an LED consultation? Have you ever looked at an energy upgrade? Have you ever looked at energy reduction? Those are typically the opening questions. Most people have thought about this. They're aware of the technology. They're unaware of how to progress with that technology. So those are all things that play into our favor. The warranties are pretty straightforward. We offer between 5 to 10 year warranties, no questions asked. Customers, again, like that. Puts us in a very good position. So when there is a warranty-based question, we take care of that ourselves, and it's in the contract.
Question for you. One thing that just came to mind, is it hard to transition from traditional or aged lighting solutions?
It can be challenging, but we make that challenge a lot easier. So when we see folks try to do it internally, which we run into from time to time, they run into a lot of problems. Unless you've done this before, I know it seems so simple. Take a light out, put a light up. There's a lot of complexity that runs into this stuff, guys. And what really happens, which I feel bad for, is clients that decide to do it themselves. They typically go to Granger, Gray Bar, these big guys. These are not bad electrical suppliers. They're good guys, but they got 50,000 products. So they purchase these products, or they go with Johnny, who doesn't run a professional organization. Johnny goes to China. Not that there's a problem with China, but he gets ineffective quality made out of China. People install the lights and they go bad in a year or two. And you could see the horror reviews online about LED lighting. I don't have those horror reviews. So it is a little bit more expensive to do it our way. I always tell clients that, but it's done right. And these systems really should last you 10 plus years. And I feel bad for clients that purchase ineffective or tier 3 based quality materials that last 1 to 2 years. In fact, half our business comes from replacing old LED lights that are 2 years or less old. So they basically pay twice.
So you're basically paying for quality and convenience.
And savings.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I saw the Q&A about the presentation. Happy to send this presentation out to anybody that wants it. Locations for assessments. We could pretty much do an assessment anywhere. We have 700 representatives nationally, so we could probably get to your location. We just had a client through an agent with 140 locations that told me I need to knock them out during the middle of this COVID-19. That's challenging, but we're doing it, and it's a resource drain. But again, hey, agent needs it, customer needs it, we'll get it done. So we do have the resources to make these things happen. And it says the question, since states are saying only essential businesses can go out, we will follow the law. California, I'm not doing an audit right now. I will tell you, though, that we are considered an essential business because we're in the construction area, electrical. Mm-hmm. Trust me, your air conditioning goes out, you want your electrician going there. Your heat goes out, right? So we are considered an essential business. With that said, our company is not, I've directed our company not to take any undue risk. Our team members that are over 60, they will not be going out to your property sites. We're going to be very conscientious of that. If you have a cough in my company, you're in quarantine. I don't care if you tell me it's allergies, it's 2 weeks. So we do have some constraints with regards to that. If they have a sick mate who has a cough, they're in quarantine. So we're taking that pretty seriously. And if somebody really needs us to get to a site in that period of time that we're on lockdown, we can do it again because we are considered an essential business. But I would recommend we wait. I saw a question about becoming an agent. There are minimum requirements to do that. That's why we go through P2. He's got one of our largest contracts. He's one of 3 guys that carry it. Mm-hmm. it's funny. We're on a Zoom call. We tend to act a little bit like Zoom. The guy that runs Zoom's agent program is actually used to work for me, good guy. And what happens is there is a specific requirement to become a partner, and Bill Patchett has met those requirements. He's really an excellent partner.
So it seems like the message right now is basically, you kind of have to be careful about which projects you take on, but you are still doing business, and sales, agents can really start setting up deals for hopefully when this thing clears up in the coming months. You should probably see some good business toward the end of 2020, I would assume.
We had a partner call us today and said, look, I got a guy that needs to spend $500,000 today. I don't think this is a future thing. I think we need to be aware of what's going on. We need to be calm. The world's crazy. But again, unless people are going to stop using electricity, there has to be something done. So I got another question. Aside from selling, what other roles do the sales agents play? Depends on the day of the week. Could be counselor, could be therapist, could be doctor. I'm kidding. These guys, our sales agents, are really in charge of facilitating the process internally and externally, and with the agent, of course. So the external part is with you and your client. The internal part is to make sure that the right resources get to your client from installation to post support. I'd like your slides and find out more. Yeah, we appreciate that, Linda. Thank you very much. We'll be sure to send that out.
We still got a couple more minutes here. If anybody has any questions that we haven't addressed, I think we have covered a lot here. Do you have any closing thoughts on I guess on the business or the opportunity at hand here?
Yeah, I'm surprised I haven't got any TP questions. How do I get additional?
I think that's everybody's question today.
Yeah, I haven't got that one yet, but that's good. Look, guys, I think the question of competition's come up again. That's really, your Johnson Controls, your Trane, the big guys. They tend to have good brand names, so we do run into them from time to time. But I think what you'll find is they don't work with the Asian community, and they certainly aren't going to pay you the compensation we're going to pay. So from the Asian community perspective, we don't see much on the competition side. From the client perspective, sometimes we see those big brand names. Just closing thoughts, guys. Look, this is not a bragging technique. We're very financially solvent. As Linda, where can we buy TP? I'll figure that out. That's funny. Our company is very financially solvent, and again, that's not a bragging right, but unfortunately, what's happening is you guys are smart people. There's a lot of debt. Companies have been saddled with debt. It's one of the reasons the stock market's nuts. These hedge funds and so forth, they've been mining on margin, and now those margins are being called by the banks. Credit lines are being called by the banks. So the availability of capital is less than it's ever been. We have availability of capital, and what we're going to do is two things with that availability of capital. One, we're going to be offering bridge loans to clients to get them to do more. In other words, if they say, look, we really wanted to do this in July, but we need the cost savings now, we're going to help provide bridge financing for them to do that. Two, we're going to guarantee savings. So if a client says, I have to save money, we're probably a pretty good answer for them, because we're going to guarantee that they do that. So those are two things. This crisis, at some point, who the hell knows how long it's going to take, but it'll eventually come to an end. One thing about Americans, we ain't going to be stuck around forever. So we'll follow the CDC guidance, WHO guidance, make sure that we're following as a company all the compliance state, federal laws that we have to be a good citizen, and we'll do a great job of taking care of you guys. There was a couple last questions. I'll answer them, and then we can end the call, unless anybody has anyone else. To find out how to become an agent, go to Bill Patchett. I'm telling you, he's the best. You're going to love working with Bill. He's a wonderful man. He pays commissions very timely, and he's honest. And I'm not saying that other people aren't, but he's really just a very wonderful master agency to work with. So reach out to Bill Patchett at P2. I don't know about the recording. Did we record this?
Yes, this recording will be available on demand following the presentation on channelvisionmag.com/webinars.
Awesome. And then the target, this is really a CFO driven thing, guys and gals. I would focus on the CFO. They definitely can manage these items and help drive the decision internally.
All right. Thank you very much.
Hey, Gerald.
Gerald, yep.
Gerald, before closing, there's a bunch of messages popping up in regards to how they contact P2 Telecom. So I've got a list of everybody that registered, and I'm watching the messages go through of the people that are interested in becoming partners of ours. Somebody will contact you later on this afternoon.
Excellent, excellent. So I guess, so stay tuned for a reach out. I guess, thank you to Bill and big thank you to Michael too for the great presentation. Of course, to all of you for attending here. Again, look for this webinar also on channelvisionmag.com/webinars. A copy will also be emailed out after the event. You can find out more about P2 at p2agents.com, and to learn more about EnergyWare, visit energywarellc.com. Thanks everyone, and we'll see you next time.